Mike versus the world here. Urban Meyer, currently comfy cozy on the set of Fox. Mike, should he be welcomed back to the college football sidelines? I say absolutely yes. I'm not saying I agree with what Urban Meyer has done, but when did college football become the moral compass of the world and we're keeping bad people out? He can win games. He's held up multiple trophies. I don't agree with what he's done, but you think about it in context of some other stuff that's happened in the world. We've let other people back into our lives. If the worst thing about Urban Meyer is he's a little handsy and his wife doesn't like that, and he may or may not have kicked a kicker in the groin, and there's that domestic violence thing that I think we never really figured out for. But when did college football become the morality compass of America? Let Urban back. If some school is dumb enough to hire him, then he should be allowed to come back.
Whatever. So, what about murderers? Are you okay with murderers too?
He didn't kill anybody.
There we go. That's the winner.
He also had Tim Tebow. He had angels too. He had the balance.
Okay. Yeah, there was a lot more bad guys than there were good guys there. And what was the other thing you glossed over? Oh, that's right. Didn't he hire somebody from Iowa with some severe,
Chris Doyle, the strength coach. That was in the NFL, though. That doesn't count. That was the NFL decisions, NFL money.
Butt at the bar while you're in the NFL counts. Sucking and not knowing NFL rosters.
I thought you were going someplace else. Okay.
Threatening kickers, hiring absolute asshats, allowing your assistant coach to sort of get away with domestic violence and not doing anything about it, letting your players get away with murder. Not murder while they were there, just shooting someone in the face.
That's actually touchy. But here's the thing, Mike. We do a show each week. You talked about the other day how Hugh Freeze should be back in the SEC. Hugh Freeze was no choir boy, right? Bobby Petrino has a neck brace on still from falling off a motorcycle. Brian Harsin has allegations. Everybody has these things in their closet.
These things. So Brian Harsin supposedly, reportedly, that's the only way to keep this, legal, right? Alleged is the word. Had an affair, allegedly. Bobby Petrino allegedly had an affair.
I think that was documented. I think he admitted to that.
Okay, and he got the crap beat out of him by some guy and showed up in a neck brace. It's embarrassing, but still, he got hired again, and I get that, but that's okay. Who else did you mention?
Hugh Freeze.
Hugh Freeze. Okay, so listen, a little recruiting, some hookers.
Rick Pitino is still coaching college basketball. I know it's not football. Rick Pitino is still coaching college basketball. Yes, it's Iona, but he's still coaching college basketball. He had a brothel, Mike.
You can't have
allegedly
as many arrests as he had in Florida. You can't have murderers on your team. You can't have 30 for 30 in the making. You can't have assistant coaches with domestic violence situations, and you can't hire just player abusing racists. You can't do any of this.
Look, I condone zero of what Urban Meyer does. I don't think he's a good person. But if a school is dumb enough to hire him, then he should be allowed to coach. If some AD looks across and after all the things you just said and said, murder, it's fine, a little of this, that's fine, and says, you know what, you're my guy still, then he should be allowed to coach. That's on the AD in the school to figure that out.
I'm not saying ban him, okay? This isn't the show cause thing where you can't coach again. I'm saying he shouldn't be welcomed back by anybody. Nobody. I don't care at what cost are your wins and losses.
So you want 129 athletic directors to all of a sudden get a moral compass and be like, no more, this guy's not coming into our league.
Oh, come on.
I have some waterfront property in Nebraska I'd like to show you after the show.
We're in a different day and age too. I mean, look at all the things that occurred on his watch. And the bloom is off the rose too. The whole Jacksonville situation. Jacksonville looks like a okay football team. Trevor Lawrence looks like a number one pick now. He was a joke. That was awful.
He just didn't fit. It happens.
No.
Steve Spurrier didn't fit in Washington when he was there. It just happens. Sometimes you just don't fit in the NFL.
Fits everywhere, right? He's a great coach.
It's a little too much, actually.
Well, yes. Nick Saban wasn't good in the NFL too. I get that, but at least Nick Saban isn't followed around by constant scandal. Name another guy, okay, who's alive. So you think of guys who won national championships with scandals. Joe Paterno, right? He's dead. Mm-hmm. So we don't have that issue anymore. Ed Orgeron, he's gone. And a lot of the allegations that came out from that are pretty disgusting, and I don't think they'll be hired as a head football coach anymore. Barry Switzer, those days are
Mhm.
long gone. You can't get away with stuff like this anymore in 2022. You just can't. So you can't have Urban Meyer back in college football. Listen, for me, it'd be fun. It'd be great. I could write about Urban Meyer every freaking day, and recruiting wherever he goes would be off the charts because he's a great recruiter and he's a great coach, but he's a despicable human being. And I don't think
No
he should be
argument
welcome
here.
back to
Yeah,
college football.
no argument on the despicable human being side. I just think someone's going to give him a chance. If Rick Pitino can still coach in college basketball, somebody's going to call Urban Meyer. Now, I think the difference is
did anybody
Urban's
get murdered on Rick Pitino's watch?
I,
Did any of
I
his
don't.
assistant coaches physically abuse their wives on his watch? Did any of that happen?
I'm not so sure.
Maybe, but
Yeah,
not
not that's
way.
been reported. Yes.
So, we're talking about domestic violence and murder. That's pretty high.
Nobody got murdered while Urban was his coach.
Okay,
That's on Bill Belichick, if we're going to be fair.
No. Aaron Hernandez shot a human being in the face.
Yes.
While he was in Gainesville. That's proven. He didn't kill him. He tried to, because if you shoot someone in the face...
Look, I can't argue against murder. If you're going to play the murder card, there's nothing I can do here.
Murder card. I have to
nothing I can do here. I'm just telling you, here's the thing. I don't think Urban's ego would allow him to take a job that would probably be the kind of job that would offer it to him, right? He's not going to go turn around an FIU program, and that's probably a type of school that would offer him a job. He's not going to pull the Rick Pitino. But I think if some AD and some president say, hey, you know what? This guy can get us in the winning column again. We can rehabilitate his image. We can turn him around. We want him here. I think he should be allowed to go. That's on the school to deal with everything that comes with it after that.
And I'll tell you this. Before the Jacksonville situation, he was mentioned in the Texas job search, right? And he was mentioned in the USC job search, right? And then he took the Jacksonville job, and it was such a disaster in every way, shape, or form, from the kicker abuse, from the hiring of the coach, from this, that, and the other, and not even knowing the players on the roster. The bloom is off the rose as far as a great coach.
But you just made my point for me. Everybody knew about the domestic violence stuff prior to Jacksonville, and USC was interested. Texas was interested.
Yeah.
Then you get into the fact he's a crappy coach. That's a different argument. Him not being able to coach because he isn't good is a whole nother story than not being able to coach because he's a dickhead. There's a whole different argument.
I'm saying
allegedly.
The dickhead factor plays into the bad coach. You put up with that stuff if you win national championships. Apparently, you put up with domestic violence and murders. You won national championships. So, okay, it's just Urban being Urban. But then he sucked as a coach. You don't put up with that crap. You better be undefeated. You better win national championships.
But you could say that's NFL, though. Like, I can make an argument to say, listen, he just didn't fit in the NFL game. We've seen a bunch of coaches not make it there, come back to college, and be successful. You can make an argument that he only sucked because of the NFL.
None of them have scandal.
What was his last season at USC? What was his or at Ohio State? What was his record?
I don't know, probably
10, 11 wins.
Yeah, of course.
Somewhere in that ballpark, right? Like,
I think
how many
lost like 8 games total there.
But how many schools would give their left arm for 10, 11 wins?
Yes, but I'm telling you this. Steve Spurrier did not have scandal. He went back to South Carolina after Florida. These guys, Nick Saban did not have scandal. Matt Rule, who we talked about, is going to come back to college football. No scandal. This dude is he's Art Briles with now a crappy record. And so he's just untouchable. It's not going to happen. He shouldn't be back in college football. As fun as it would be to cover, he just shouldn't be there. I'm sorry. Murder, I'm pulling the murder card. I don't even have to pull the murder card. I could pull the domestic violence.
You keep pulling the murder card, though.
No, forget
but all these things were known while he was in college. Well, technically, that took care of itself. But you put all these things on the table. These were already known when he was in college, and it did not stop him from getting jobs. So what you're arguing is because he sucked as a coach in the NFL, which he wasn't prepared for. He kicked a kicker in the groin, and he got a little handsy at a bar. Those are the 3 things that now you're saying that's too much.
He also hired
and the racist coach,
against
allegedly
everybody's advice. He's just I'm telling you, the attractiveness of Urban Meyer retiring from Ohio State is now gone. He embarrassed himself and the Jacksonville Jaguars to a level now where nobody's going to touch him. And I don't
I'm
care.
like,
Boosters may want a ton of money in Nebraska. Let's bring Urban Meyer to Nebraska. Blah 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 blah. Good luck.
there's a
If he
desperate
doesn't
AD
win,
out there right now that's looking at his or her record
yeah,
and saying, we are 1-9. We are
yeah,
getting lambasted. We have zero
yes,
money coming in. We need some juice. Somebody
yep.
call Urban Meyer. And that person,
Okay.
if they do that, they deserve it.
Well, if Urban Meyer's hired, you better go 12-0 because you're taking an absolute despicable, clown of a human being, and so the payoff for that has to be 12-0.
I don't know that it will be, but I think if you're an AD, all you cling to is hope.
Bad hire. No,
Don't
Urban.
disagree. Bad person.
No, Urban.
I don't want to see it either, but if someone's dumb enough to figure it out, figure it out.
Well, listen, I get it. It's the world wants what they want and they want fun. But I mean, I really am trying to think of a more despicable coach that we could talk about getting back in college football, and there's just none.